We're in the dungeon. We're deep in the dungeon. Actually, we haven't really even entered the dungeon. This is day two. Day two, stream two of the Designing Dungeons class that I am taking. I'm taking a class online. Um, really excited about it. We did the first two chapters on the last stream. If you're watching this like after the fact in a VOD, there's a link. Take you to the other video. It's somewhere on the screen. So we're gonna continue on. So if you haven't seen the first part, we're gonna be talking about things that probably don't make sense, or you'll catch up. It's pretty easy to catch up. I thought it would be fun to stream this whole thing to kind of go through each of these steps together, to show you my thought process as I design a dungeon based off of the course. And our last bit of preamble that we always do at the start of a stream is, as a reminder, I am a new dad. I've got a newborn sleeping in the room next door. I'm looking at the monitor a lot. If at any point in time the stream just suddenly stops, I had to go take care of my baby. So, we're playing a little fast and loose with streams, but hopefully she will rest while we get through chapter 3. I don't actually know how many chapters we're going to get done today. Last time we got 2 done because the first one was just the introduction. So we'll see how far we get today. But today is chapter 3, refining the theme. I actually think before we do that, let's just go back to our workbook here. I had thought about like doing a different theme. Like, we made up this theme last time. I thought, oh, but what about this other idea I have? And I might go make that other dungeon, the tomb. But I'll do that on my own. We're doing this together. We made this much together. I think it would be fun to just stick with this for now. So let me move my stuff a little bit so you can see that better, and I don't need the outline up. Okay, perfect. Okay, so what was our theme? Our theme is ultra verdant forest, not ultraviolet grasslands. Ultra verdant forest. Seed vault. Basically, what I think this is, like, a lot of this is going to be connected to my fantasy world, Oberyn, and which kind of manifests in a bunch of my games. One of like the first people, which are the Thorns, one of their first cities, got abandoned. All of the Thorn cities got abandoned, and one of them had like a greenhouse or a seed vault. We eventually called it a seed vault instead of a greenhouse, and this was like a lab essentially where the first people, the Thorns, were there to like tinker and create life with the powers and the resources that have been granted to them by their gods. Long ago that got abandoned or lost, who knows, we haven't figured that out. And it has overgrown, so essentially all the plants and the seed life. So we've got a crazy forest that has burst forth, which I think is sort of within it is one of these ancient Thorn cities. So I think we can like play with that space of like the Thorn city is in here, probably not like in the outermost shell of the dungeon, but probably deeper in. If we're doing like multiple levels, it might be deeper, or I don't know how we're going to orient this dungeon. One other thing is like who's in charge. I don't think there's anybody in charge right now. I do think a Drake is trying to wrestle control, because they want the lab. But I think there's lots of factions here. I think this is an equally valuable place for people to delve into as the tombs themselves. The forests. These thorn forests. So that's as far as we got. We did like a 10-minute brainstorming exercise. We're not going to go through all that, but that's what we did last time. So that's our theme. So chapter 3 is about refining the theme. We will define specific details about our dungeon. We're going to build on our theme and background. Additionally, we'll draft an initial list of NPCs and monsters. Oh, wow. Okay. Sketching out factions in the dungeon. Ooh, this is the stuff I'm excited about. After this chapter's activity, you'll have a more complete picture of the space and creatures dwelling within it. Cool. So we're still like building like the concept, the high concept of the dungeon, and who might be inside of it. All right, we got a lot of stuff that we are going to try and accomplish. So let's just dive into it. Communicating your ideas through details. Show, don't tell. All right, so we're going to talk a lot about show, don't tell here. I like this. You might know the boss of your dungeon, the Iron Lord, is a cruel tyrant, but showing acts of his cruelty and their results are a more emotionally effective way of communicating that idea than just saying, that Iron Lord is very cruel. Yeah, I like that. All right, show, don't tell. Um, Karen, once again, getting a highlight here of just being great at these sorts of things. So consider the background we've written and extrapolate specific details that our players can actually discover and interact with, right? This is the showing, not the telling, right? Room descriptions, NPCs, treasure, traps, and other pieces of dungeon dressing in a way that establishes the reality of our world. That'll be fun. This is interesting. I like this too. Show don't tell is great writing advice, but it's limited when you're GMing. Often find telling directly is a pretty good technique. She seems like she's hiding something. This guy is racist. You can see a trapped treasure plate, right? I agree with this. I think show don't tell is really good for as a writing exercise for like this overall dungeon that we're gonna write, which I will use and I will share with others so that they can use it. But not necessarily the most practical thing to do at the table. Not to say that it's impossible, but sometimes in the heat of the moment, it's sometimes easier to just go, yeah, there's a trap there. You see the trap. You found the trap. Or, yeah, this person sucks. You've established that this person sucks. All right, we're already into a first activity, which is great. In this activity, we will establish some essential truths about what the dungeon looks like, what the structures are, how it's lit, and so. Okay, let's build this thing. This step establishes a baseline. Unless a room description specifies otherwise, these descriptions will be true by default in your dungeon. You'll write room by room descriptions later. Okay. This is nice. So, like, we can immediately just say, like, all right, this dungeon is brightly lit. And so we can kind of just assume it's brightly lit until we reach a room where it might not be, and we can say, it's actually quite dark here. That seems like what we're going to be doing here. Wolf Boy Raph says, I get a lot of use out of telling PCs when an NPC is clearly lying without any roles. I 100% am with you on that. I love doing that. It tells them a lot about that NPC and about the fact that the game isn't in knowing if they are lying or not. Yeah, exactly. The game isn't knowing or not the person is lying. It's, they're lying. What are you going to do about it? That's the more interesting game. I really wish I could remember the exact quote, but like Chris McDowell, who's creator of Mythic Bastionland, Into the Odd, is very much a proponent of just telling players everything, like full information, because that's where the interesting decisions and the interesting gameplay takes place. Right? Is okay. All this. What are you going to do with it? That's the juice. That's really good. So I'm with you, Raph. Totally. Josh is always linking to their worksheet. I'm not going to look at it yet because I want to make it before I look and see what the experts looks like, because that'll trick me. Yeah, informed choices have more weight than guesses. Totally. Yeah. All right, let's consider. Go to page 3, dungeon worksheet. All right. That is where we are. Okay, great. We got the dungeon worksheet open. We have to figure out this. I got to figure out how to like properly maneuver this because this is happening. Like things are bleeding over, so I got to like figure out my spacing. Shrink some of this stuff. Okay. Consider space. What is your dungeon physically made of? Is it an open space like a forest or a swamp? Yes. Yes, asterisk, right? I think it's going to be like largely forest, and then it's going to become a closed constructed space in the middle. I kind of like that idea. I like that idea of outer edges and rings are a forest that is just blooming out of control, And at the center is that thorn city or thorn structure that you're trying to get to. You might not even know it's there. I think people don't know it's there. Is it natural space, like a giant tree? How high are the ceilings? Stuff like that. And generally, are rooms light or dark? Right, one or two sentences for each of the following. How is the dungeon constructed, and does the dungeon have natural lighting? Is it lit? Okay, where are we doing this? Stuff maybe like here. Lighting. I think most is naturally lit by the sun. Um, inner the inner ruins are not actually are lit, but through no, they won't be lit. They won't interact with the scale stone. I was gonna say that they interact with the scale stone. The inner ruins are dark and require light. Yeah. Wonder if I'm writing this stuff in the right spot. That's okay. Um, how is the dungeon constructed? So yeah, I guess structures of our dungeon. It is largely natural wild growth. So like rooms are, you know, rooms are mostly just different verdant biomes or clusters of plant life. There is a constructed ruin at the center. Old, unclear how built. No way would anybody have any idea how it was built, because it is old. Okay, cool. Next, consider these questions. What will the adventurers see? And just as importantly, what will they experience through other senses? What does the dungeon smell like, sound like? How does it feel? What's the temperature? All right, so we are doing our sensory stuff: sights, sound, smell, and taste. I mean, it looks lush. Lush is just the word, and like lush and verdant. It is overwhelming life. There's plants and trees of such a wide variety. One wouldn't really call this a forest. Because like, when you go to a forest, it's not like it's a monolith where it's all one type of tree, but like there's going to be a variety of different types of plants and trees, but like a certain amount of them. This is like an arboretum. Right? Which is just going to be like, wait a minute, why is that tree near this tree near this tree? Like none of this makes sense. So I think we're going to see like twisting vines, roots that wind, dense canopy, which will interact with like the light stuff, colorful flowers, wild grasses, all sorts of things. I want like prairie there. Sounds. The thing I haven't decided is, do like animals live here or not? I don't know if this is the sort of forest that like animals would want to go live in. Because I think it doesn't make any sense, right? Like animals would live in a place where they know the ecosystem, but this ecosystem doesn't make sense. It's like all forest ecosystems at once. And so I think it's either insanely abundant with animal life or is devoid of it. I think it has to be one of those two things. Um, right? I mean, that's what makes sense to me. If it is devoid of life, then obviously we're gonna have like not a good time because there's not gonna be a lot of stuff in the dungeon. So I think we're gonna go with like wildlife. What is doing this to? Oh, I see. Um, so I think we hear rustling leaves, we hear bird song, we hear snapping twigs, we hear swaying branches, we hear the creaking branches. We hear a babbling brook. I think there's definitely got to be some water going on in here. We hear all that good stuff, right? All that good. Ooh, weird noises might be interesting. Pipes, drums, water. I love that. Raph, let's put that in. Let's put in some pipes. Pipes are music from an old time, from an age long gone. Drums. Yeah, that's fun. That's really fun stuff. Isn't that how you spell brook? Babbling brooks? I guess everything else is plural. That's what it wants. Nice. All right, smells and tastes. What are some of the smells and tastes? I mean, this smells like life, right? It's like it smells like soil, it smells like grass. Um it smells like what's I can't come up with a good word. Like aromatic bark. Like there's a smell to like certain types of bark and stuff like that. Um that you would smell in the air. Um, I do think you smell like the smell of like animal animal life, right? Like animal shit, animal dens, and things like that are going to be present here. I do think you will smell decay, right? Like life growing out of control will create situations where there will just be like plant life that just can't handle it, or just so much of it that it's collapsing in on itself. So I think we're gonna get some of that. I don't think there is mulch, but I just love the smell of mulch. Um, Including something that doesn't fit, even if you're not sure what it. Oh, petrichor, yes, the after rain smell. Smell of rain, absolutely. Let's put it in petrichor. Yeah, that's such a good word, Raph. I love that word, and I love that smell. Um, Absolutely. That's great. Okay, I think we got some pretty good sensory experiences for our dungeon so far. Okay, pens down. Precise. Oh, one or two sentences for example. I kind of did more like lists, but that's okay. Um, okay, pens down. We'll complete the dungeon worksheet page in the next activity later in this chapter. Great. Next, we'll discuss NPCs and monsters. All right, our dungeon denizen. Who dwells among the wreck and ruin of your dungeon? Who haunts the halls? In this section, you'll brainstorm some ideas for different kinds of characters and creatures that populate your dungeon. We'll build on the brainstorming we did in chapter 2, like our big list, or our like word vomit. And think more about different kinds of NPCs you want to begin. You'll clean up your notes to give yourself something more concrete. This is focused on thought work. We'll get into specific stats in chapter 7. Oh, that's good, because I'm not ready to make stats yet. This art, by the way, is by Bert Draws Stuff, and it's all super good. I think Bert has a Patreon. Is it linked at the bottom? Yeah. You should support Bert. This art's so good. I want this leaf hedgehog in my thing. Oh, wow, this is a long chapter. All right, let's get back into it. Common monsters. Referring to your brainstorming notes, think about the inhabitants of the dungeon. What sort of monsters dwell there? What monsters make sense for the setting? What sort of normal animals live in the environment? Though we just sort of established it's potentially like everything. Are there monstrous versions of those normal animals? I think that's the interesting thing. I think for me, I don't want it to just be like you're moving through and you find another bear, fight the bear. Um, I think the entire point is that this place is out of control and it would make the animals out of control too. So I don't think we're dealing with like normal animals. We're dealing with like this little cutie. We're dealing with creatures like this. Um, what human activities take place in that environment? Are there monsters reflective of those activities? Human activities. Oh, that's interesting. What mythological creatures associated with the environment? Consider the food chain. Okay. Um, where are we gonna write this stuff? I feel like I need to write this somewhere. If we're going to think about the inhabitants, I need just a place to write this. Is there just like a, I guess here, the common monster zone? Yeah, we're in the common monster section. All right, I think normal animals are rare. More like weird versions. Definitely like monstrous versions are here because of uh actually I'm just having like a brain blast of an idea, but we'll get to it in a second. Because of the Drake that's in the area. I mean, it's entirely possible that instead of the Thorn City that's in the middle, it's a tomb. A tomb could be in the middle. Actually, kind of like that idea. That outside these tombs are the like wild verdant forests. Because it makes sense that the tombs wouldn't be built in like random places. They would be built in the Thorn cities. Because that's where they would go. They would go take their gods, put them in the ground, kill them, bleed them dry, and it would all just happen outside of a Thorn city. I think that's what's happening. I think we're doing that. Okay. I just got to do it up here. Hey, Axiom. What's all this then? We are doing the Designing Dungeons class. We're on chapter 3 right now. We did the first 2 chapters a couple days ago, and now we're on to chapter 3. Yeah, Quirtle, actually that's exactly what happened. In the game, in my world, the gods are dead. But one of them had a chance to sort of sacrifice itself, cause this massive verdant growth, cause the godswood trees to come back. That's how the thorns come back. So it kind of makes sense that's what happened here. Is that that's that we have a tomb in the middle. Axiom asks, "Is there? There's a design class. Is it open? Oh yeah, it's open for everybody. I'll put the link here. This is the link to chapter 3, but you can obviously go back and do any of the other stuff. It's totally free. It's all online. I will say right now, folks, I'm looking and seeing my baby be very awake right now, so we might have an abbreviated stream today. So if that happens, that just happens. But let's keep powering through and get as much done as we can. Okay, new thought. At the center of this wild, verdant forest sits a tomb. Capital T tomb. Love capitalizing letters in our role-playing games. Like all tombs, it was built in a thorn city. You're chaining a god and bleeding it dry. The growth comes from the sacrifice. This is all mostly for me. Hiding the tomb within. Actually, it doesn't really make sense for them to hide the tomb within. It seems like they would want the tomb to be found. But we'll figure that out later. But I think then, as a result, as a result, we have the ability to have kind of more monstrous things in the forest if it's around a tomb, as opposed to if it's around like a dead, dormant thorn city, where like in theory there's nothing there. Um, but if it's around a tomb, then there's definitely stuff there. Okay, so we do have weird animals. We have monstrous versions because of the Drake and tomb. Um, because of the Drake, yes. All right, we're back on the common monsters. What human activities take place in that environment? Um, Humans come into the forest to harvest things for sure. There's definitely humans that like visit these forests all the time, but they don't get far. Um, Delvers go for the tomb. What mythological creatures are associated with this? A dragon is associated with this. The Drake. Um, for sure, it's dragon. Dragons created the tombs. Consider the food chain. On what do these creatures prey, and who preys on them? Um, the food chain. I mean, the entire premise of the premise of the tombs is to make monsters. So the food chain is always in flux as new things are made and introduced to the forest. Oh, my baby's very awake. I don't know if you all can hear that or not. That sounds like it is the sign of the end of our stream. We only got 30 minutes in, but we got 30 minutes of good work done here. We'll have to come back and just do this another time when she's a little bit sleepier. Chapter 3 looks like a big one too, so it's probably going to be have to do this all. Probably the whole next stream will be dedicated to trying to finish chapter 3. So until next time, bye.